Namina hai te pukala ke opuni Walava mako I ka pahaku I ka ai ka mao ka aina
Aloha, kalokalani ko'inoa. I didn't know until recently, working with the Kūʻē Petitions, that my very namesake was because of this petition. David Kalokalani went to Washington, D.C. with these petitions, with the Queen and her entourage. When they arrived in Washington, D.C., they were told to go back because they had so many votes in favor of annexation by a treaty of cession. They only faulted 2 or 3 to pass the Treaty of Annexation. But in the hands of our Queen and David Kalokalani, they had the will of a nation. This document represents probably one of the purest forms of democracy ever recorded in human history. So much so that it made Senator Hoare, the oldest member of the Senate, who was 74 years at the time, in 1897, actually cry. People that saw him hold the petition said the old man wept. The Kūʻē Petitions represent the will of a country. Every Hawaiian has about 5 to 10 relatives on this petition. A new book, Kūʻē Petitions Ma'aloa Aku No, has very detailed and high-resolution photos of the Kūʻē Petition and their pages, organized by island. In the book, you'll find the Silva Minton Index reference to the Kūʻē Petition. The Silva Minton Index was because of Noinoi Silva's research in 1996 that was able to actually find the petition hidden in the archives of Washington, D.C. That index is alphabetized. Page 1 would represent A, and probably page 12, B, and so on and so forth. So just know that the numbers on the left represent the alphabetized index. The Kūʻē Petitions in the new book, or the brown pages, are corresponding to the Minton Index. So if it's on page 1, because someone was named A'a, their family name, then in the Kūʻē Petitions in the new book, with high resolution copies, it would be on page 191. Now, the Kūʻē Petitions book is hundreds of dollars. It's kind of expensive, and I don't want this to be gatekept for my people in understanding who their family was and what they stood for. If you do buy the book, I recommend buying it on native books online. That way, at least the money is funneled into the local community. As far as this, I want this to be a tutorial on how to find your Kūpuna's names. And since the first shall be last and the last shall be first, why don't we start on the last page of the Kūʻē Petition Index on page 547. So in 547, in the alphabetized version, will be in letter Z. And the reason why I want to start here is because Hawaiian names don't typically start with the letter Z. But we have to understand is, according to the 1890 census of the Hawaiian Kingdom, we're a multi-ethnic country with about 7,436 non-Hawaiian subjects. It's Hawaiian subjects that were born on the soil, born to parents that were Hawaiian subjects, or naturalized after residency, and took an oath to our throne. So on page 547, the Kūʻē Petitions will be on page 627. I'll show you real quick on how to find it. So we know it's on 547. So if we go to the very end of the page, you'll find a family whose last name was Zablon. The Zablon lived in Kohala Ako and North Kohala. 2 wahine actually sign on the same page. The Kūʻē Petitions are divided in columns. The column to the left has about 25 lines, and the column to the right has about 25 lines. Knowing that, since they've signed on page 29, on line 40, then we would go to page 29 in the alphabetized index and find their corresponding name in the Kūʻē petition book. Line 40 and line 26 will be on the right-hand column, signed by a Mary and a Miss Emma, right? Both wahine at the ages of 20 and 29. So what we're going to do is we're going to go up to our index. We're going to look for page 29, and we're going to find that in the Kūʻē petitions, it's actually on page 86. And then we can come down to the brown pages and look for page 86, which is right here. And if you can see, remember, 25 lines on the left, 25 lines on the right, and we can zoom in, and we will find Zeblan, the second line, line 26, Miss Emma Zeblan, that signs at age 29 in the North Kohala district, because we have to understand that when the government of the Hawaiian Kingdom was overthrown in 1893, there were 7,436 subjects of that kingdom that didn't like the fact that the country's government had been overthrown. And then if you look below on line 40, there's Mary Zeblan, right? So that's a way that you can find your kupuna's name on the Kūʻē petition. Again, all you have to do is cross-reference. And I put the cross-references in the first 8 pages, and then scroll to the bottom to find your alphabetized name. And then scroll back up and find the corresponding page. And this is how to find your kupuna on the Kūʻē petition. I hope this goes viral for the fact that every Hawaiian alive has about 5 to 10 relatives on the Kūʻē petition. It's a great source for genealogy, also to find where your land is, because in 1893, that's only about 4 years prior to 1897. So most likely the provisional government in the Republic of Hawaii hadn't fully kicked your family off of their land yet. Anyways, that's how I found my family's land, and I hope that you can find your family's land using the Kūʻē petition. Before we leave, I want to translate what the Kūʻē petition were about. So if you look here, there were 2 translations, one in English on the right, and then one in Hawaiian. It's a very powerful way to learn Hawaiian. One of my favorite lines in Hawaiian on the Kūʻē petition talks about, on the bottom it says, Ke kūʻē aku ne me ka mana'o I kaika, loa I ka ho'ohui aku o ko Hawaii paiaina. Why I like that is because in English it says basically that they earnestly protest against, right? I kaika mana'o, the annexation, the ho'ohui aina of the Hawaiian Islands to the United States. And what's really interesting in Hawaiian is when they don't mince words here, right? They don't want annexation, right, in any form or shape. Hui puia I ole oia ma ke kahi ano loina paha, right? So this is the true will of our kupuna, right? They didn't want America in Hawaii in any form or shape, right? Not as a federal tribe, nothing, right? They wanted their independence. And ultimately, these documents defeat the Treaty of Annexation, and were successful at doing so. So that's why this is one of the most powerful documents that was hidden for a reason in Washington, I believe, to continue the prolonged occupation of the Hawaiian Islands. I hope this tutorial helps you find the name of your kupuna. Again, all you have to do is scroll down to the bottom and find this QR code, and you'll have access to my photo album. I took pictures of both the Minton Anzacs and the new book. That way you can find your kupuna. I recommend buying the new book if you can, and you can save up for it. But until then, happy hunting. Aloha.
Because said treaty ignores all professions of perpetual amity and good faith made by the United States in former treaties, it is thereby in violation of international law. Therefore, I, Liliuokalani of Hawaii, do hereby call upon the President to withdraw said treaty from further consideration. I ask the Honorable Senate of the United States to decline to ratify that treaty.
Word of what had transpired in Washington soon reached the islands. Anticipating that the U.S. Senate would reconvene in December to consider this second attempt at annexation, an aggressive campaign was initiated, intending to fortify the Queen's second letter of protest. On September 6, 1897, James Kaulia, president of the Hui Aloha the Hawaiian Patriotic League, gave a stirring speech before thousands at Palace Square in Honolulu. He said agreeing to annexation was like agreeing to being buried alive. He asserted that a mass refusal by the people could prevent annexation.
Let us take up the honorable struggle. Do not be afraid. Be steadfast in aloha for your land and be united in thought. Protest forever the annexation of Hawaii until the very last patriot lives.
A petition to the President, Congress, and people of the United States, otherwise known as the Monster Petition, was read and approved at this rally, asking that no further steps be taken toward the ratification of the treaty. The men and women of the Hui Aloha Aina, through the efforts of many loyal and dedicated Hawaiian subjects, launched a full-scale petition drive that lasted approximately 2 months. They went from island to island, from shore to shore, leaving no stone unturned in their efforts to document opposition to the proposed treaty. The petition was printed in both English and Hawaiian.
We, the undersigned, native Hawaiian subjects and residents who are members of the Hawaiian Patriotic League of the Hawaiian Islands and other citizens who are in sympathy with the League, earnestly protest against the annexation of the Hawaiian Islands to the United States of America in any form or shape.
The Hui Aloha Aina was founded specifically to support the Queen and to protest annexation. They described the men's branch as 7,500 men from the different islands and the women's branch as 11,000 women. The women did a lot of the work. Mrs. Laura Mahelona went to Kona and Ka'u, and she went, in those days, of course there was no airplane, so there were these steamer mail boats, you know, that would go to every village once a week or so and deliver the mail. So her method was she went from North Kona down to Ka'u, stopped in every village along the way, and left the blank petitions with the chapter presidents of the village chapters of the Hui, and told them, gave them the instructions and said, call a meeting and have all of your people sign this, and I'll come back in a week and I'll pick up the signed petitions, all the way North Kona to Ka'u. So the following week, she came back, and at every little village, it wasn't just the chapter president coming out to meet her, but people came out to give her leis and to express their mahalo, because she had brought to them this instrument by which they could make their will be known. And so the story in the Kealoha Aina newspaper is that every time she went, and got off the boat and received the petitions, she was covered in leis so that you couldn't even see her dress, and she'd have to go on the boat, take them all off, and then at the next stop the exact same thing would happen. And she gathered 4,216 signatures in Kona and Ka'u.
When the members of Hui Kalai Aina and Hui Aloha Aina went out to collect signatures, it wasn't like today where you have to stand around and beg people to sign a petition. People were looking for them. They were seeking them out. And everybody, it was men, women, and children signed these petitions. And I'm just trying to make the point that Hawaiians really didn't have either power or money or government to preserve their nationhood. What they had was their will. Despite the fact that for about a century, Hawaiians had been dying, the population had been plummeting, despite the fact that we had no real power, and the United States was a powerful country, Hawaiians acted with remarkable unanimity to preserve their independence, to preserve their lahui.
By November of 1897, they had successfully gathered the signatures and support of over 21,000 patriots. In a joint effort, the Hui Kalai'aina also gathered through their petition drive nearly 17,000 signatures. Together, there were over 38,000 signatures, representing 95% of the native Hawaiian population.
The estimated population at that time of Kanaka Maoli was 40,000. So virtually every Kanaka Maoli signed. Therefore, every Kanaka Maoli today can find at least one ancestor on those petitions. And in Honolulu, where the original petitions were brought from the National Archives in Wakinekona, Washington, crowds of people have gathered to seek, to image the names of their ancestors there. And you see them weep, lament, discovering these names and all the mana, special spiritual energy and power in that experience that they feel transmitted